Hi, everybody, and welcome to Elongate, the social impact movement powered by crypto. My name is Alex, and you've tuned into our social impact celebration. And today we're joined by some very special guests from Pencils of Promise. Adam Braun is a New York Times bestselling author, speaker, and entrepreneur. He is the founder and executive chairman of Pencils of Promise, the award-winning organization that has built more than 500 schools around the world. He was the co-founder and CEO of Mission U, a higher education startup pioneering high-quality remote learning that was named one of Fast Company's 50 most innovative companies before being acquired by WeWork in 2018. Adam, thank you so much for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I know we're going to have some other guests from Pencils of Promise joining us in a bit, but to start off with, for anyone who might not know the details of what you do, can you share more about the mission and cause of Pencils of Promise?
Sure. So Pencils of Promise is really rooted in increasing access to quality education for children around the world. And we have a number of programs that we have developed and deployed over the years to enable that. But we're most known, I would say, for building schools. But the way that we look at it is that we really build schools from the inside out. And what that means is that we build safe and healthy learning environments full of well-trained and supported teachers where students can ultimately reach their full potential. Part of our core belief is that real access to quality learning is holistic in nature and goes well beyond the classroom. We partner with communities across Laos, Ghana, Guatemala, as our primary countries where we have our offices beyond our headquarters in New York. While it's really critical to build that physical infrastructure, we really believe in this truly holistic approach that goes well beyond just that physical infrastructure of a classroom and have a number of additional programs that you'll hear about today. And those programs are really aimed at breaking down barriers and removing stigmas beyond infrastructure as the sole element, the school being the sole critical component of enabling education, because we all know that it's actually what happens within those walls and even beyond those walls in the home, in the support of the teachers, the full family, that enables students to really attain their greatest potential.
Yeah, it's incredible. Education is so important. How did this all get started? What's the founding story behind Pencils of Promise?
Sure. So, Pencils of Promise was really born out of a series of almost unexpected experiences. I was traveling as a college student, a junior in college at the time, on a program called Semester at Sea, which I was really fortunate to have the opportunity to attend and go to a number of different countries around the world while studying with other classmates. And I had a habit of asking a simple question to one child in each country that we traveled through. And that question was, if you could have anything in the world, what would you want most? And when I got to India, where the poverty was just the most stark that I had ever personally witnessed at that stage in my life, and in particular, it was really profound how much it was impacting children. I felt very helpless, and I found a young boy who was a street beggar. He was probably maybe 8, 9 years old, I would guess. And he was the one child that I asked in that country, if you could have anything in the world, what would you want most? And he looked at me, and his answer was a pencil. And I happen to have pens and pencils with me, but I kind of probed, and I wanted to clarify so that he really fully understood the question. Literally, if you could have anything in the world, what would you want most? This young boy begging on the streets, and he reasserted that he would want a pencil. And what I started to learn was that he had never been to school before, and he would watch other children going to and returning from school every day, with their pens, their pencils, their notepads. And there was just such profound wisdom in that answer, and that he wasn't asking for anything more than a tool of self-empowerment to really unlock his sense of creativity and imagination, and ultimately, a synonym for promise, which is your potential, your possibility. And so I started carrying pens and pencils with me as I would travel and many countries ahead. And they always enabled me as a natural introvert to start conversations, sometimes with children, sometimes with mothers and fathers. And I would ask parents, what do you want most in the world in all these different countries that I was backpacking through? I kept on hearing similar answers in rural villages, or marketplaces. It was always, for the most part, I want better educational opportunities for my children. And so I just became really inspired by that idea, by the experience with this young boy. And a number of years later, I was 24, turning 25, working in New York City. And I just had this idea one night to start an organization named Pencils of Promise. You know, promise is both that sense of possibility or potential, but it's also, in its other meaning, an oath or a commitment. And I really believe that we each have a responsibility to make, a commitment to the well-being of others. And, events and collaborations like this one that, you all in the Elongate community have really brought to bear today are the ultimate manifestation of that. And so, I started $25, put in a bank account, in acknowledgement of that 25th birthday, in hopes of just building one school. And that quickly spread to a mission that not only I really felt committed to, but I started meeting incredible individuals like a woman named Lanoy who worked at the guest house where I was staying in Rural House, and she became our first employee in Lao and now is our country director, co-country director in Lao, leading an incredible staff, having built hundreds of schools. And so, while the initial ambition was just to build one school, we found great people that became the torchbearers and storytellers and made this organization really, truly theirs. And that's what I would invite any person who's watching today to embrace, to recognize that, whatever brought you here in this moment might be a life-changing thing if you choose to make it. Like I did, like so many others did, some of which you'll hear from today. And, you fast forward, it's been about 13 years, and we've now built over 560 schools across Ghana, Guatemala, and Laos. And we're currently providing more than 110,000 students with access to quality education. And our programs collectively reach 1.1 million individuals around the world. And so amazing. I believe you have a video. Hopefully we can play that video and, really bring the work to life.
We'll roll it.
Pencils of Promise began in hopes of building one school. We believe that where you start in life shouldn't dictate where you finish, and that every child deserves access to a quality education. That belief took us around the world, building schools in Asia, Latin America, and now Africa. Today, we're opening up a new school every 90 hours. Every single one of those means so much to a child, a family, and a community. But it's also changed the life of someone who, just like you, learned about us and decided to make these kids a part of their story too. While I built the first school to honor my 80-year-old grandma, a college DJ sold albums to build our 30th. Joel ran a marathon to build our 50th. Kennedy biked across the entire country to build our 70th. Sophia asked for donations instead of birthday presents to build our 90th. And George, a university student from Ghana's passion, put us over the 100-school mark. These are the stories of people just like you. Every single one of us has the ability to change a life. You just have to believe in it. You just have to become dedicated to it. How will you build the next Pencils of Promise school?
Adam, that's incredible. And obviously education is such an important thing to invest in, and the way you guys are deploying that at scale is inspirational. And I mean, I know that video kind of talks about it a little bit, but what really is a differentiating factor with Pencils of Promise? What makes you different from other organizations that try to impact education?
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of things that I would reference, but in the interest of time, I'll just touch on a few. So one is just the commitment to long-term sustainability and operational excellence. And so, when I was a backpacker, I'd visit many structures that people in villages would point to and say, oh, that once was a school, but somebody built it from the outside and now it's used for storage. And so from the outset, it was really important that our schools were built in partnership with local communities and local education ministries. And now we look back over 13 years, and I can really proudly say that every single one of the schools that we've built remains fully operational. We don't build the school and move on. We monitor, we evaluate every project, and our goal is true partnership and long-term sustainability. The second thing that I would touch on is local leadership and community involvement for us is just paramount. And so not only do we partner with local governments and community members in Ghana, Guatemala, and Laos to build our schools and provide access to our educational programming, but every single one of our country directors are from the countries they lead, as well as the vast majority of our staff in those countries. This ensures that they can respond to each country's strengths and challenges in truly authentic ways. And beyond that, each community where we work invests 20% of the capital required for each project, although these are often communities that don't have the cash based on the amount of money that individuals are making per day is oftentimes just in a handful of a few dollars. And so they make up that 20% commitment, oftentimes in labor, helping to physically build the school and the collection of raw materials like wood or gravel and beyond. And it gives them, from what I've witnessed and heard and been told explicitly, just tremendous pride and, more than anything, a sense of ownership and enduring commitment to the success of the school. The third thing I'll say is just an abundant commitment to transparency. And with that, part of it is understanding how the capital is used. So 100% of our online donations go directly towards our programs. But beyond that, one thing I'm really excited to share with your community in particular is that given the current price point of BTC, for the most part, one Bitcoin covers the cost of one physical build.
Wow.
And so it's a really beautiful moment for us to be partnering with you and the Elongate community. And if anyone's watching this and has had the good fortune to ride the incredible growth of this crypto community, and you want to find a way to give back to perhaps ensure that that positivity is carried forward for generations, you can reach out to us at pencilsofpromise.org. You can even reach out to me directly, just AB. My initials AB at pencilsofpromise.org, and we'd be happy to plug you into the team and help you build the next school with us.
Amazing. I love that one Bitcoin is one school. It really puts it into perspective. And there's a lot of people here who are wanting to ask some questions. If you have some time to take some.
Yep, happy to.
Amazing. There's some people that are really interested in knowing exactly how it works on the ground. So to start off with, how many schools have been built so far?
Sure. So we're just over 560 schools around the world. The vast majority of those are in the first country where we began in Laos in Southeast Asia. From there, we expanded to Nicaragua and Guatemala. We have a series of schools that we still support through a partnership, but we recognized pretty quickly, about a year or two into our time in Nicaragua, that Guatemala was just a much better fit for our type of programming and growth. And now we've built hundreds and hundreds of schools across Guatemala. And then Ghana was the third country of physical builds that we've added. And we're now in the several hundred schools built in each of those three primary countries.
And how long does it take to build a school?
So, it really can vary. The truth is each individual community and the nuances of each physical build are dependent on, certain variables. Sometimes it's weather, sometimes it's the distance from, where the supplies are coming from. Sometimes it's just, timing and coordination with the community itself or the education ministry. But, we usually say somewhere between 4 and 12 months. The physical construction can happen oftentimes very quickly. I will say that, like all things, COVID has presented an enormous challenge and slowed down everything from supply chain to,
Right.
people migrating from one community to another to reduce the spread. And so, we're living in a kind of unique time where timelines are a little bit prolonged, but I would say for the most part, it's usually somewhere between 4 and 12 months from kind of commitment to physical school created.
So digging more into kind of the nuances of each location, a couple questions here. One is, how are you identifying the places that need the schools the most? Mm-hmm. And what grades or education levels do they support? Is it unique or is it a standard across the board?
So in terms of how we select the community, usually what we do is we partner very closely with local education ministries. They end up providing us with lists of villages of greatest priority. That said, because we have significant staff from that country in each of these regions, we go out and we do an independent evaluation as well. And so we have a series of criteria, a rubric that we've used for many years, evaluating things like, lives that will be impacted, the community's commitment, how real, how deep, how demonstrated is that commitment going to be, the sustainability of the project, and a number of factors. And that allows us to get to a point where we're able to create our own independent list of the communities where we'd like to work next and a certain timeline associated with it. Then we'll go back and we'll have a series of meetings with community leadership. That's usually mothers and fathers. We'll ensure that they view this as a project that is not only going to significantly support the children of their community, but that this is something that they can take great ownership over, so that it is truly an enduring and successful project. We also look at the viability and things like cooperation and collaboration from the local education ministry. And then eventually, we sign on and we commit and move forward from there. In terms of the age, we really focus on primary education. And so, that kind of fits into, the traditional global standards of primary education, focus on literacy, numeracy, and some of the other basics to really create a foundation so that children can spring forward in their educational and life opportunities ahead.
And are we just talking about the physical construction of the walls, or do you guys also support in terms of the staffing and the ongoing needs of the community?
So in terms of the staffing, these are public schools. So we really closely partner with education ministries. From the outset, it was really important to us that every single child has the opportunity to attend a village school. If we're creating a school, every child in that community, sometimes even depending on the situation, some kids might be attending even from a community that doesn't have a school, but they're, kind of combined together into that one school that serves both communities. And so in order to enable that, we decided to support and build and collaborate in the creation of public education schools. And so we are not selecting the teachers. What we're doing is providing augmented teacher training. So all the teachers go through the nationalized standards of teacher colleges. But what we've realized over the years is that we could build really robust and incredibly beneficial curriculum to support those teachers and some of the things that are occurring both inside and outside the classroom. That includes something that we call WASH. It stands for Water and Sanitation and Hygiene. We also have a really, really robust teacher support and training program. And then social emotional learning, which for us are all of these different elements that we think of as going, quote, beyond the build.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Adam. I know you have a very busy day ahead of you, so I'm going to bring on some other guests and let you go. But any final thoughts before you head out?
No, I mean, more than anything, I think it's important for anyone watching to know that Pencils of Promise was really started because a number of factors, but one of them was that I reached out to organizations to try to, support them, make a donation, whatever I could do. And I was told at the time I was too young. I didn't have enough capital to really make a difference. And so Pencils of Promise was really started to say yes to any person, any individual, regardless of age, status, or location. When you make a commitment to make a difference, to support the well-being and the educational opportunity of a child, we want to be the organization to partner with you. So please feel free to reach out to us. And I really hope that if you have that feeling that you're witnessing something special, especially when you hear from Jorge and Kylie ahead, convert that intention into action. Because if you sleep on it for a night, something else will enter your world. So if you're moved by today's session, I really hope you make a commitment and we can do something really extraordinary together.
Incredible. Thank you, Adam, so much. I really appreciate your time with us today. We'll let you go and we'll talk to Jorge.
All right.
Take care. Jorge, welcome. I'd love to give you a quick intro if you don't mind. Jorge Bolom grew up in Livingston, Guatemala, a community without access to running water, roads, electricity, or even a school structure. He's the oldest of 11 children, and Jorge moved away from his family after 6th grade on a scholarship to attend middle school because his town did not have one nearby. Jorge's academic journey eventually led him to become the country director for Guatemala Pencils of Promise to provide access to quality education for children across the country. Jorge, thank you so much for joining me.
Alex, thank you for having me here, and it's an honor to be part of this session. So, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love for you to share more to our audience, our community, how you got involved, and what led you to your activity with Pencils of Promise today.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I grew up in a small, community, a rural community where, as you mentioned, where I didn't have a lot of basic needs, but having that situation, and also going to the university in Wisconsin, to the United States. So coming back and start working with different organizations, and because I have this experience in education, supporting education in rural communities, and my dream is always was to support kids in communities and pretty similar to where I grew up or where I'm coming from.
And I heard that you recently visited your home community. Tell me about that story. What did that mean to you?
I recently visited my community, and we delivered some materials and to support the teachers, like laptops and printers, student desks, and teachers, and also chairs for the teachers. But at Pencils of Promise, and we support community and kids, like my personal story, my community. Those kids doesn't mean that they can reach their goals, and unfortunately, they are born and raised in a place where access to quality education is missing, a lacking of infrastructure and quality teachers. It's not the priority yet. So with those basic needs that are missing, so when I went to visit my community with my team, that moment was great. That was the beautiful moment for me, fulfilling, because standing in my community, standing with my family, in front of my family, my parents, my brothers and sisters, even my grandma, standing there to see me and be part of this beautiful moment when we delivered those materials for the teachers for the school where I learned the first word. That was the unique moment for me, and because that's where I went to school.
That's really powerful. That just brought it full circle for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I had also the honor to receive a tribute from my team and my community, because that's where, again, I went to school. That's where I learned how to write and writing things. So now I am able to speak 3 languages: a Mayan language that I learned when I grew up, and then Spanish in school here, and then English in the States. So that's the magic of Pencils of Promise.
That's the magic of Pencils of Promise. Well said. Thank you, Jorge. We have one more guest that's going to be joining us on stage with you, and that is Kylie Scales. Kylie is the Chief Executive Officer of Pencils of Promise. She's the founder of Think Free Global Strategies, a boutique full-service firm that offers end-to-end consultation to corporations, organizations, and individuals for equity solutions, organizational, and resource development. Kylie served as the first managing director of Black Lives Matter Global Network and is a globally recognized speaker, creator, ambassador of social justice, and systemic change agent. Kylie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for featuring Pencils of Promise. I see my illustrious colleague, Jorge, and I was able to hear a lot of what he said. So thanks again, and thanks to everyone who's joining.
Yes, it's been an absolute treat to hear from Jorge and Adam today. Kylie, I really want to hear from you now. What makes global education such an important topic of focus I know it's important, right? But what makes it so specifically important as the CEO of Pencils of Promise, can you share what are the pain points or injustices that our audience might not even know about?
Yeah. I think it's important to note that investing in global education is key to worldwide success, justice, and sustainability. It allows people to work towards their full potential, which will transform the world by allowing all people to collaborate and to share their talents so that they're able to contribute at a high level. Access to education leads to higher income, improved health, and gender equity. It's important to realize that the barriers to education have a lasting impact on society. It has a lasting impact on individual freedoms. Barriers to primary education suppresses people's ability to be able to truly and fully thrive. We see that oftentimes in our own communities, in our own environment here in the US, where we see people who don't have access to basic things and experience barriers to attending school. Many of those things are hunger, hygiene, sanitation, infrastructure. The buildings aren't there. The teachers aren't up to par, and we know that those cause disparate outcomes. So imagining that from a global platform really puts in perspective the reason why addressing education from a global perspective is important. It allows more people to thrive, more people to contribute, more people to be productive, and most importantly, it allows more people to unlock their imaginations and fully reckon and self-actualize with the person that they were always intended to be.
Incredible. I love that. And Elongate is so honored to be able to say that we are contributing $50,000 to Pencils of Promise to help build a school. So we're so excited about that. So excited.
Amazing. Thank you.
What is Pencils of Promise working on right now?
Well, as we know in the world, COVID has been a real barrier to many of us, to many of our children who are being educated in the United States. The same can be said in our global community. However, I'm proud to say that our activities in many parts of our communities are still thriving. We're still building schools. We're still educating students. We've been innovative in the way that we are providing support to our teachers. We stay in contact with our teachers. We're able to connect via text. We're able to launch different programming, including our radio program in Ghana, including a reading app that is being rolled out in multiple school sites across our service provision. And so we're really adapting to the barriers that COVID is placing while remaining connected as a global family and a global community to help support one another in addressing these issues and ensuring that our staff is kept safe. So the challenges that the world is that the US is experiencing in many ways are challenges that the world is experiencing, certainly in different contexts. But we are being nimble in our approach, and we're continuing to have success. I know that we recently had a school opening. I know that school will be starting soon in many of our areas. And so we continue and persevere to ensure that our students and teachers and communities still have access to primary education.
And I saw that there is a video on radio programming. Should we roll that one?
Yeah, please.
Perfect.
Ajo Day. I teach at Chelukope EP Basic School. I normally wake up very early, around 4 o'clock. I use 45 minutes reading through my lesson plan for the day. I tidy up my compound, I do sweeping, I go to the kitchen, prepare breakfast, and start walking towards school. I am very passionate about teaching. I want to impart knowledge to the younger generation, and I want them to come up as responsible peoples in the society so that when we have played our role and gone, they will take up the mantle and replace us.
I think for a start, we're all in denial. We thought this is just going to last for a few days, weeks, but we have gone through weeks, we have gone through days, we've gone through months. A lot of kids have stayed at home, teachers have stayed at home, parents are under stress because they have to take that extra responsibilities.
The idea of the radio broadcast first came about when this pandemic, COVID-19, struck. And everybody was confused and were thinking of how to help the pupils in the house. A friend from the municipal education office came with the idea to do the radio program and that I should come and manage the KG section.
The radio teaching and learning was a very wonderful project initiated. We have realized that the children were actively involved. They were glued to the radio set and started learning.
The pupils' reaction to the radio program was very fantastic. They were calling in to read, to answer questions. I reached a lot of new students, far and near, even those who were not in the municipality.
I heard the announcement on radio teaching, and my mom told me I can follow.
Adrevinami abajila ona, elabela gapupu mama ekenya corona season kakaye no fiafia va radio jia. Among pokoma weba ogate gana no srohena chichireji.
Sometimes they use songs, poems, stories, and sometimes I even dance.
Subject doji jona menya akonta, elabena menyenwe. Nufiala van doji jona. Ela bazana fefe aroha vuvuvu coffee we banya hamasagom.
We describe Pencils of Promise as a family of people who believe every child deserves access to education, of people who want to make change in their community, of people who want to raise the next generation of leaders.
The mission of Pencil of Promise is very important because they help us reach people from far and near. Without them, we couldn't have reached them. Pencil of Promise is our savior.
Kylie, what an incredible way to reach people during a pandemic like this. And it really shows how it's not always about finding new technologies, but you can use old technologies in innovative ways. I love that.
That's right.
Can you tell us a little bit about some developments you have coming up? I saw that you have a reading app coming out and you're scaling some of your programming.
Yes. So the reading app has actually been taking place for some time. So our reading app allows for students to access books through an e-reader. So sometimes students are able to take those e-readers home to be able to read a little bit on their own. They're able to engage with the e-reader and have that technology. Oftentimes technology is a great way to bring education to life for people. It allows the communities to have multiple books in different languages, different textbooks, fiction books, things like that. And so we're working on piloting that app in more of our countries so that we can scale that and provide that to all of our students. We also look to open, so again, thank you so much for your contribution to allow us to open a school. We hope to scale to 25 schools per year. We also are hoping to scale our WASH program, our water sanitation and hygiene program, which provides access to facilities, restrooms, access to clean water, toothbrushing, things like that. We have that in many of our schools, and we're hoping to bring that into each of our schools as well. So support will help us to be able to scale that activity. We also are able to provide teacher support. As I said, that there are innovative ways that we're continuing to provide support to our teachers. As Jorge described, oftentimes teachers need additional support and to be able to ensure that students are reaching their competency levels, as well as students are able to be curated and cultivated as a whole child, as a whole person. So there's an aspect of socio-emotional learning as well that we're able to help teachers and provide that support. We're also able to collect data in order to ensure that our activities are the most efficient and the right activities at the right time, having the right impact in the right country context, or the activities that are able to move the needle and to really create the biggest impact. And so we have a robust data collection and analytics that help us to create and support activities and programming that impacts our students most. So those are the many different activities that we're doing to be able to scale our work going forward, reach more students, reach them more effectively, and utilize all of the data that we're collecting in order to adapt in real time to the needs.
I love that. That's a really great approach to scale. And the idea of empowering teachers to teach other teachers is a really beautiful butterfly effect, I think. I see that we have one more video that we're going to roll.
At Pencils of Promise, we believe that every child should have access to quality education. Infrastructure is very important. The teacher is very important. The health of the child is very important. And so those are the areas that we are making those investments into. I'm sure that the next level may not be to build 1,000 schools, but to see that a lot of the investment that we've made in these schools are reaping results. What are those results? Getting this school well educated, getting these kids becoming healthy, and getting these teachers moving to the next level, becoming tutors of other tutors. And that is the way we'll be able to sustain this program. One major thing that we're also doing through the WASH program is menstrual hygiene. We have realized that a lot of girls even miss school 4 or 5 days just because they have to go through this. And for most of them, they don't even know what is happening to them because these are not issues that parents even discuss at home. And so the only place they have to learn this is in school. They want to be teachers, they want to be doctors, they want to be nurses. These are the things they see around them. And with this foundation, we are very sure that those goals that they have in mind, they will achieve them.
I love that. I love that so much. Kylie, maybe you can share a little bit. How will our contribution be felt most directly? I know that this question is coming from our audience right now. What kind of impact can they really celebrate that they're making today?
Your contribution will have a direct impact on the students' accessibility to attend school, to support an entire community and multiple generations, as you've seen through the videos. Often people dedicate schools in their honor or in the honor of loved ones, so that they also have that lasting connection to the communities. So know that of all the work that we've done, we've built 560 schools thus far. They're all operational, they're all thriving. That your contribution will allow that to continue, will allow us to continue to build more schools, will allow us to bring that amazing program that you just saw to more schools, and impact children, communities, and lives for generations to come, starting today and going on indefinitely.
Amazing. And are we able to reveal today where the school is going to be built?
Yes. The school will be built in Laos.
Amazing. I'm super excited to hear that. It's going to go to a community that needs it the most. I'd love for you to share with our audience how they can get involved after this live stream. Where can they go to learn more about your projects, and how can they give directly?
Absolutely. Thank you for asking. Please visit us on pencilsofpromise.org. Please join our Passport community. It's a community of supporters who are engaged frequently in the work that we do and are provided special access and stories from our communities and from our teachers and from our students. So please feel free to reach out and join that platform. Also visit us on all social media accounts, which are posted below, and you'll be able to follow follow our storytelling. You can explore other types of opportunities like volunteer and leadership opportunities. Read some things that we do called transparency talks, where there'll be one-on-one conversations with our community. There are blog posts. There are just additional programming. We have some really great end of the year programming plan that we'll be able to invite everyone to even get a deeper understanding of the work that we do and connect both your minds and your hearts to our students and to our communities and to amazing leaders like Jorge, Freeman, Ya, Lanoy, and many others that contribute to this amazing, amazing work. Oh, I can't hear you.
I was just saying, Kylie and Jorge, thank you so much for your service to these communities around the world, and my thanks to Adam as well. For anyone who cannot give directly at this time, what's the best way for them to make a difference in their communities?
There's always a way to make a difference in your own communities. There's many mutual aid programming and collective fundraising that people can do in their own communities. You can also be an ambassador for equity, for education equity, for equity of all sorts, so that people can achieve their individual freedoms. So always know that there is space for change and for transformation, both within ourselves and within our communities.
And it's been such a pleasure to have you here. And on behalf of the Elongate community, we're super honored to be able to contribute to your cause and have you officially in the Elongate family. So thank you so much for your generosity of time. Any final thoughts before we sign off?
Just thank you all very, very much for this opportunity. Continue to make a difference in the world. Continue to make a difference within yourselves and your community. Thank you again. I can't say enough about my incredible colleagues all around the world and all of the communities that we serve. And again, thank you for all of the support.
Amazing. Well, we'll sign off for now. Kylie, Jorge, and Adam as well, thank you so much for your time. And we're so excited to follow the progress of the school as it gets built. Thanks again.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.